Give me your best bets going into week one.
Yeah. So as of right now, my favorite bet on the entire board is the under in the Giants Dallas game. Um, it has already moved down a little bit, half a point, open at 46. It's, I'm looking at it at 45 and a half at 5 books and 46 at one. Um, you know, with Zeke being in, Dallas was one of the slowest paced teams last year. And, they look to grab a lead and then just, run behind their great offensive line, drain the clock. And they have one of the top five defenses, like most people projecting, and they were very good last year. Um, and the Giants' offense line is terrible. I think they're going to struggle on offense. They lost Odell. I expect teams to kind of stack the box and just force us to throw because if you shut down Saquon, it's going to be very hard. So I think the Giants struggle to score. I think Dallas struggles to score, and without Zeke, and then with Zeke, I think he slows down the game, and it doesn't get over this 46 number, which I thought was extremely high. Like I thought it was going to open up around like 41, 42. So that's probably my favorite bet right now. And, we'll see what kind of movement you get with Zeke, but I don't think it goes up very much. Like, I think the general, like, public expected Zeke to sign, so I think anything built in was assuming he signed. So if he does sign, I don't think it moves much. If he doesn't, I think you could see like the Giants become much less of underdogs and the total come down. But I think the general public was on he was going to sign before the season started. Do you want to touch on that, or you want me to go through
No, I
the
mean,
others that I
I'll
like?
say this, like that's something that you've talked to me about prior, so like you pointed it out the other day, like, I think it was like a week ago or maybe not even, and like at that point I hadn't even really looked at the lines too much, like we're doing the MLB DFS grind over there, so you and I have been looking into preseason. You've been doing a lot of preseason DFS stuff over at the site and everything like that. So I hadn't actually seen a ton of the actual lines. When you had told me the total of that giant Cowboys game, I was just kind of like shocked. I was like, he's got to be. And like it's funny because you compared it to the Bills Jets, which, don't get me wrong, I
Mhm.
understand those offenses are it's the Bills Jets, so always low scoring, good defense. Bills very good defense. I understand all that. But to hear the Giants and Cowboys with just like, again, the way the Cowboys play, especially when the Cowboys are favored by that much, or there's an expectation the Cowboys are going to control this game, it was just kind of shocking to me to see the total that high. So I'm with it. I like the under in that one, and that's it. That's all I'll say.
All right. Next, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans against the Cleveland Browns. They're on the road. Cleveland's a 5.5 favorite. That line has not moved like at all. Um, I would probably wait on making this bet because I think it's going to go a little bit more in Cleveland's favor. We might see Cleveland -6, Cleveland -6.5. I remember last year, week one, um, like lines didn't really move much during the week. And then like Saturday night late and early Sunday, a few games moved dramatically. And I think Cleveland is one of like the public darlings. We don't even have like the releases yet on like what the percentages are on the certain sides yet, but I think that'll be available tomorrow, if not Tuesday for sure. But I expect Cleveland to be like one of the public darlings and their lines be inflated. And so Tennessee with the points I love. And like I would probably also bet like a third of whatever I put on the points as a money line as well, because I think they could win this. Like Tennessee was in the playoffs 2 years ago. They just missed it last year. Um, they have like essentially a similar team that's just maturing a little bit more. A lot of their good players are young. Um, and Cleveland, like there's a lot of question marks. I think they're going to be improved, but they could be very like sporadic. They might be great some days. They might look terrible others. Like I don't think they're just going to be like this great, solid, dominating team. So I think there's value in Tennessee.
I feel the same way. One thing we know about Vegas, like they have their own little power rankings, their own, extra points for the home team, et cetera, et cetera. And then the rest of it, a lot of it is perception. Just kind of going with what they expect. They're trying to balance out the action. So if the public is slamming a certain side, a lot of times they're going to build expectations around that. And I think that, like you'd mentioned, Cleveland's been like that hyped up team, right? Like everybody's talking about Cleveland. Everybody's talking about Cleveland. Like, all of a sudden, I know I'm obviously in Jersey, a lot of Jet Giant fans here, and I'm seeing people like Tommy SB, my brother-in-law, Shake and Bake. He's a true Browns fan. He's from Cleveland, so he's an actual Browns fan. But you're starting to see other people with Odell Beckham jerseys. I guess people who just hate the Giants or whatever. But I don't even think it's that. I think people are just excited for the Browns. Like Baker Mayfield has shown a little attitude, right? Did he grown that mustache with a bunch of people are doing that now? I don't understand that. A bunch of these people are just growing mustaches nowadays, and I mean, whatever. But regardless, he's doing the
Did you see when he chugged?
Yeah, exactly. He's doing the things, and he's got the Lindor. He's pumping up the crowd. Got the Lindor jersey on. I'm like, you ever seen a baseball crowd rock like that? Like it's not usually, So he's got that. Like people just love him over there, and he's got that attitude that he loves to be loved or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. OBJ is a player that everybody was high on. Like public perception hates Eli Manning. The Giants. Why are they keeping this guy? He's got to go. It's not Eli's fault. I mean, it's not Odell's fault. It's Eli. That's why he's been sucking, and the Giants are dicks for trading him. And so, yeah, you got him and Landry reunited, right? LSU reunited together. It was LSU. And it's fun. Like they got Nick Chubb, an exciting running back.
Kareem Hunt on deck,
right? Who I don't think is going to be I don't think it's too popular right now, but he's not even here yet. So they'll start off being like this group of loved guys, And but I agree with you. I think Vegas is going to adjust their lines accordingly. If they're expecting, they're gonna like shit. Okay, our numbers say that this should be like 4.5, but I know that the public is gonna pound this shit. So we're just gonna open it like an extra point and a half, maybe even 2 points higher. Like if this true number. Maybe it should be more like -3, -3.5. What has Cleveland fucking done? Yeah. What have they done? They've done nothing. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. I think that the 5.5 is you're getting a ton of points. I think that's a wise take, if you will. Sam, what else you got, Paulie?
Man, I'm gonna go with the under in the Chargers Indianapolis game. Like, I don't think that line has adjusted enough since Andrew Luck retired. If Melvin Gordon does indeed hold out, like, I don't think the Chargers are going to be as explosive offensively. The Chargers were like top 3 defensive team last year, and the Colts were in the top 10. So these are 2 good defenses. Both offenses missing a monstrous piece. So like I expect Indianapolis to not be like very like in rhythm, like they didn't get a ton of reps as a group together. Like I think they're going to kind of rely on Marlon Mack. Like I think they go from like, a 2 tight end to 2 wide, like shotgun offense to more of like a power game. And I think the Chargers, if Gordon does indeed hold out, like he's their most explosive offensive player, but if they don't have a very like crazy aggressive offense, they just have like good talented players and they take what they can get. Like they'll use Keenan Allen, they'll hit him, 3-4 times on a drive. They chip away on the ground. They use their tight ends. I'm very high on Hunter Henry this year, but I think this is another low scoring game. And like right now you can hit it at 45. I'd be shocked if the Colts got more than 17 points. And I don't know if the Chargers get much more than like 2021. I think this game can come in way under.
I mean, I can definitely see it. Last time we saw Jacoby Brissett start for the Colts, their offense was just not good. Now, the offensive line is a lot better than it was that year, and that could be a big reason.
Yeah.
But there is a lot we just don't know. So until then, like if the Colts were at home, I would have a little higher expectation, I think, of Brissett. So like I think Brissett will do better than he did that year. I just don't think this is a great situation for him coming in. Like he found out he was going to be the starter pretty like recently, right? So he still hasn't
like 4 days ago.
right. So he still hasn't had a ton of time to like get all those reps and really fully prepare for this. So I'm with you. Like I expect it to be a slower process. Maybe he does do better at some point. And we know like even looking at their numbers, like T.Y. Hilton, the guy plays way better at home, always has. So it's like I'm with you. I could totally see it. The only thing I'd be worried about at this point is the Chargers running up that score. That'd be the only thing. But I'm not really worried about the Colts scoring side of it, unless you think the Chargers are going to put up 30-something, 35 points or something like that. Like I'm with you, man. I don't see it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I don't like it as much as the Giants one, but but that's only because with this Colts game, there's even more I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's the only. Right. That's the only.
And you don't like totals anyway.
Yeah,
so
I don't. I gotta think about that. You're right.
You're shy away from that anyway. But what do you like out there? Is there anything that sticks out to you?
There's a few. I mean, like I like your Tennessee call. I have a few of really. I have like the 3 games I highlighted. They're actually all underdogs. And that's one thing I usually like to do at the beginning of the season. I like to roll a lot of underdogs because a lot of these favorites are overhyped, overvalued. The numbers aren't right. Yep. Going off of like last year's power rankings, whatever the case may be. So the first one I'll start with is the Falcons. And like this is the one that worries me the most. This one isn't necessarily my favorite bet. It worries me a little bit because I'm worried that the public agrees with me. Like a lot of our tools that we use to analyze these things, like you said, haven't updated yet. So as soon as we get closer to the games, we'll kind of understand where everybody's at. But I did find it kind of shocking, the Falcons being 3.5-point underdogs. And that was 4. I saw it at 4. Maybe it was even higher. I don't know. I know it was at least 4. So it's interesting to me that you have the Falcons on the road, a high-powered offense against the Vikings. And, like, yeah, I understand they're on the road. But this is a turf game, right, Paulie? That was one of the things you were big on with the Falcons this year. There's a lot of their games. So I do like the Falcons plus 3.5. I think they can keep up offensively. We have a 47-point total, and I fully expect this game to be like a shootout type atmosphere. I'm not totally confident. Now, we know that Julio Jones could have somewhat of a tougher matchups, but we saw Calvin Ridley and a lot of these guys really, really step up last year. Devontae Freeman's finally healthy. I think they're going to be a little, better. And the Falcons always kind of start off kind of good. Like they always kind of start off. It's when people start getting hurt, they start going down the shitter, right? Like even last year with their defense, right? Like their fucking best running back got hurt in like week 1, and then they were just the nut worst. Their entire defense was gone. Yeah.
This very similar roster was in the Super Bowl 3 years ago.
Right.
They're not very different from that team. So they could, staying healthy on defense, like they were a sieve the first like 7-8 weeks on defense. Right. Like they were terrible,
right.
And then as guys got healthy, they did kind of improve defensively. So, I agree. Like, I think, I'm 50-50 on Atlanta could win the game outright. Right. Like I would think that game should be pick them Minnesota -1.
Right.
Like it'd be hard to say take Minnesota -3.5, -4.
Right.
But I do think that's going to be like a trendier one. Exactly. Like I think that one gets to 3 because I feel like that's the right line.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like if it does get to 3, I want to see where it goes after that because 3.5 is a key number. Once it's on 3. If it doesn't move all the way to lock, then that's a smart money came in and hit that 3.5. But if that line goes down to 3, and then like 30 minutes before the first game, it goes back up to 3.5. You know what I mean? Then that tells me that somebody thinks that there was value in the Vikings and they were just waiting for this to drop a little bit. So I want to see where the public is. Just for now, I'll go with Falcons plus 3.5. And the money line seems kind of juicy. It seems tempting. Plus 150 to win the game outright. I really don't mind that either. But I do feel more comfortable. I respect the Vikings enough. I think Dalvin Cook is going to have a good year, and I think he's very talented. So I respect the Vikings enough to want the points and pass on the money line. Just to be safe, because, let's be shocked. The next one, a little more bold. Not a little more bold. Yeah, a little more bold. Jacksonville plus the 3.5. I think the Chiefs are another one of those teams that are getting, the hype, and deservedly so. They're a very, very talented offense. I do think Jacksonville's defense last year a lot of people think they took a step back. And while that may be true to an extent, I think a lot of that was them giving up and just kind of getting worn out from their offense, not producing. We've seen good defenses. I remember years after Mark Sanchez had his like back-to-back AFC Championship moments. After that, the Jets' offense was terrible. They took away all his weapons, threw him with a bunch of nobodies, and said, "Hey, kid, like you're good, right? Like go ahead and make it happen." And I remember like seeing the defense get. They had a really good defense that year. They would get so fucking frustrated, so frustrated. They would make all these great stops, and come the fourth quarter, they were exhausted, and the team would pull away, win by 21 points by the end. So like. I think Jacksonville, that was like a big thing with them last year. With Fournette, with Nick Foles, who I think is a huge upgrade from Blake Bortles. I expect Jacksonville to be more competitive. And like Kansas City was not known for their defense last year. That's one thing they were not known for. So I would rather take the points at home. Pretty big game for Jacksonville. I think Fournette has a big day. I think that Foles, again, is a huge upgrade from Blake Bortles. And I want to take the points similar to your Titans bet. It's more of a bet against perception, right?
Yeah, against the hype. And I mean, I love home underdogs.
Oh yeah, home dogs. Yeah.
I think home dogs, just as a general blanket, if you bet them just every single one every season for 10 seasons, like it's like a 65% winner. Home underdogs. It's just because it's generally these kind of situations where it's like it's a mispriced team.
Right.
But yeah, I think Jacksonville, like, they ended up getting like the best defensive end in the draft. So they're adding another monster to that, like very good defense. And I think they did just lose interest last year. The team dealt with a lot of injuries, and they've definitely improved. And Leonard Fournette's healthy. Like they could certainly, 2 years ago, they played the Patriots in the second round of the playoffs, right? Like, didn't they upset Pittsburgh in the first round, and they played the Patriots? Like, this is a team that could be one of the better teams in the AFC if things go right.
I mean, I think the Foles upgrade was
won Super Bowls. Like.
I mean, I hope people really understand how bad Blake Bortles really was. You know what I mean? He had some good games in DFS. He had his moments a couple years ago. Had some big games, but to truly understand, like to really watch a full game, because Jacksonville's not a team that's broadcasted a lot. Watch a full game with Blake Bortles at quarterback. Even just watch last season, and you'll understand like how a defense can get frustrated.
He was a scouting mistake. People thought he was the next Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah,
and.
I mean, it looks like him.
I'm glad that they finally cut the cord. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, it's clear that he wasn't. And Nick Foles is a guy that gets like no respect.
Right.
And teams like Jacksonville don't need their quarterback to like win them every game. He just needs to not make mistakes, and he's kind of proven he can do that. So I'm with that. I would take them on the money line too.
Yeah, I'm with it. There's the last one. This is the last one that I really like. This one's actually probably my favorite. But I actually like the Panthers at home plus the 3. And like I know that's going to be another. It may be somewhat of a hot take going up against the Rams, but Cam Newton did practice on Sunday, so he's going to play. They're at home. And it's funny too, because all I hear about is how the Rams, like everybody expects the Rams offense. Like nobody is as high on the Rams offense this year than they were last year. For whatever reason. Yet, I hear more people talking about, the Rams are only -3 against Carolina. A team that's pretty much gotten by, partially at least, on their defense. Not to say their defense is elite, but they do a lot of things right, and they keep things contained. But I think this line is a little too low, and so I expect the public to be on the Rams side of this. I think most people are going to look at this line and say, that's just way too low. And again, if people in general are, and it kind of kills me to say this because I told you, Paulie, in my main fantasy league, I did end up drafting Todd Gurley in the first round because I was just put in a weird position and I'm a dumbass in the clutch, I guess. So but like
logged in late.
Yeah, logged in late. But like that, so it bothers me to even say this. But the more I think about it with Cam there and Carolina's defense, everything else, and Rams being on the road, I kind of like the Panthers plus the 3, or I do like the Panthers plus the 3, getting the point. So I'm actually on, like, again, all 3 of those are underdogs. But Yeah, that's the last one. What do you think, bro? I mean, like, where are you at with the Rams in general, and what do you think of that game? Where would you go?
So, like full disclosure, like I can't stand Cam Newton, and like I think we started to see the decline of his talent last year. He's gotten injured, and like he's been injured a lot, and there's this trend now in football of guys just like can't put up with the injuries, like Gronkowski, Luck, and like I think Cam Newton is not far from that, and like he's had concussions. I just don't believe in him. Like I think they're very overrated. Like I think they might go like 5 and like 12, 5, 13, whatever, to 5 and 11 this year. Like so it's hard for me to like them against the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. That like since they got that coach and the personnel that they have just been very, very good. But I do like home underdogs. I do think the Rams are going to be the public favorite. I do think the Rams, like last year, were terrible pass defense, and like you saw a lot of like just freak games. Like the Rams Chiefs game last year was like a scoring fest like we hadn't seen ever. And they were in a few of those kind of games. So I'm bullish on all the Carolina skill players except Cam. Like I wouldn't be surprised if these two little receivers just went to town on that secondary. And Christian McCaffrey, I think, could go absolutely nuts. Just because he's going to get the so much, in the pass game, on the ground, and like, Christian McCaffrey is like a freak the way he runs his life and prepares. Like, he's one of these diet like specialist freaks. He only eats like specific kind of like crazy foods. He trains like JJ Watt. Like, he's very, very dedicated to being good. And, we've seen him be special like across all levels. He's like, I don't know how many white running backs there are, in the NFL at all. And like, he's one of the best ones. Like he had, some of the best elusive stats last year. Like this is his 4th season now. Like we could be, this could be a major breakout year for him. So I do like those players, but I don't know. I don't believe in Cam, and like he was a big part of what made them good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you just put like Foles on this team like that they would be as good, and I think like Greg Olson's getting a year older. I'm not as confident in their defense. Like I'm not big on their team, but that doesn't mean that they can't win this game week 1, amped up at home, catch the Rams slipping. There's also been like a trend over the last like 12, 13 years. The team that lost the Super Bowl has a very bad season the next season, like usually like losing season. If you go back and look, only like 2 or 3 teams have had like positive year, and it's very like weird. You think they made the Super Bowl last year, they should return. But so I'm not that against it. I just like how I am with certain players. Cam's one of my most hated players. So like I just wouldn't get involved in that game probably.
Yeah, fair enough. I could accept that.